better understanding of continuous random variable. So it is lecture number 20, and here we will talk about continuous random variable. So coming to outline of this lecture, first I would like to discuss about continuous random variable and its probability density function, how we define continuous random variable and how we quantify the probability of a observed value of continuous random variable, okay, from the interval. So that quantification of the probability we do it here through probability density function. After that I will talk about the idea of extension of expected value rule to continuous random variable. So in expected value rule you might have already seen the summation pattern, and here it will be converted into integral pattern. So how it is happening, and the before prior to that I will talk about expectation of a continuous random variable as well. That means representative element of that among the several random variable observed value of the random variable, there would be definitely one representative in the neighborhood of that most of the observed value are distributed. So that's why I will talk about expectation, then I will talk about expected value rule, that one is generalized from discrete random variable. So coming to first part, that continuous random variable, anyone may comment over that what is continuous random variable. During the very first class on random variable I had already introduced. So what is the what would be this? So simply whenever we are calling it random variable, that means it is a map from sample space of an experiment to R. So this is a random variable, and two category I had already defined, that if suppose the range of this map x happens to be discrete, then we call the corresponding random variable is a discrete random variable. If it is a discrete set, then we corresponding, then x would be discrete. And suppose discrete random variable, in short I would like to write it DRV, discrete random variable, okay. And when the range of x is not a discrete set, that means it is a continuous set. In short I would like to write it C dot S dot. Then in that case simply that random variable we are calling it continuous random variable. So that thing I had already introduced during the definition of random variable, okay. And what what does it do, that these random variables, these are actually what doing quantification of convert outcome, quantification of outcome. Each outcome can be associated with some mm, real number with the help of this random value map, random variable map, okay. So that's why you do quantification of outcome might be outcome of an experiment might be of any nature, but if you it is in of any nature, then if you want to do algebra there, then things would be very complex. But there is a very good algebraic theory for real number. So that's why we always do map that those outcome therein, and they're into some real number, and hence what we can enjoy the benefit of algebraic property of real number. So that we can do with that. So suppose one question I'm asking, that if you are taking a discrete random variable, then what is the nature of omega, that is the sample space, whether it is always a continuous set or discrete. It may be also discrete, it must be discrete for defining a discrete random variable, or it may be continuous. Anyone may say that? Tell me, x, suppose x is a discrete random variable, then tell me the nature of the sample space uh, omega, whether it would be always a continuous set, or here it may be uh, discrete as a it, whether it is always a discrete set, this omega, or it may be a continuous set as well. Anyone make? Yeah, for continuous it would be continuous. Now I'm asking question for discrete random variable. Suppose x is a discrete random variable, then what kind of condition we need to put over this omega? That thing we had already covered once, I had already mentioned. So that's why I'm again asking you to recall that. So if you suppose x is a discrete random variable, then what kind of nature omega would have, whether it would be always a discrete state or it may be continuous as well. Anyone? Then I will talk about the necessary necessity of being a continuous set of the sample space for continuous random variable. If you just try to figure out this, then I will talk about continuous case, continuous random variable. Anyone here, if you are defining a discrete random variable over a sample space omega, then tell me whether this sample space would be always discrete or it may be continuous as well. Anyone would like to comment? You tried, nice, but actually it may be continuous as well. There is no such criteria that this omega always would be discrete. Mostly it happens that omega happens to be discrete for discrete random variable, but it may be continuous. So continuous, what is that? And then if you are having a continuous domain, that is set of real number, if you are taking from the interval 0 to 1, then over interval 0 to 1 we can define a discrete random variable. In last class I had already discussed that simulation process of probability in programming language, it is based on that uniform distribution. So what we do, so if you are having a sample space, is that experiment is that we are selecting random number from the open interval, closed interval 0 1. That is the experiment. In that case, this would be sample space. Over this sample space we can define a what for each outcome we can define a number like this way. One is characterization function, you can always define. I had told that if you are performing any kind of if you are taking any event with respect to that, always you can define a map. That one is characterization map. So characterize or correct, so or indicator map. So that indicator map is what? That one is always a Bernoulli random variable. So Bernoulli random variable is what? That one is a discrete random variable. So one, you can say that it is a trivial kind of example, that the indicator function is always a discrete random variable. So irrespective of nature of this sample space, whether it is continuous or discrete, always you can find this random variable indicator function as a what? Discrete random variable. So indicator function I omega, it is taking value 1 when omega is coming from the sample space 0 1, when omega belongs to 0 1. If omega is not from 0 1, outcome is not from 0 1, then indicator function will take value 0. So tell me whether this integral function, what is this? This one is a discrete random variable. But what is the domain of this? Domain of this one is a continuous state. The sample space is a continuous state. Despite of being continuous nature of the sample space, we observe a discrete random variable. This one is one example. Apart from that, we can define various examples. Here, partition, through partition approach, we can define various such kind of random variable. Other also, like we can define like this way. Another random variable, discrete random variable, we can define over a continuous like this way. So suppose if you are taking omega between, suppose we say that between 0 to 0.4, it is taking one between no, greater than 0.4 to 0.5 equal to 0.5, it may take value another value, call it to 1 or 2 or something like that, anything it may be. So 2, and if you're taking omega, that outcome, select at random, you are selecting number between 0 and 1. That number, suppose it is between 0.5 and 1, then you can assign another value, random variable, that 0, like this way. So again it is a what? Discrete random variable whose sample space is continuous. So for a discrete random variable, you can define, you can take sample space either discrete or continuous. There is no strict condition there. That sample space might be discrete or continuous, but if you go for continuous, then criteria would come that that sample space must be continuous. I will talk about that. Let me first discuss about, define about continuous random variable. So what is that? So what is continuous random variable? So we can define it like this way. A continuous random variable is a map from sample space to R such that range would be a continuous set. What is meaning of continuous set? If you are taking a continuous set, then that continuous set would be either an interval or would be an union of non-overlapping interval. So this non-overlapping interval, what does it talking about? It is talking about partition of a what we call it interval. So that in Riemann integration in Math 1 class, we might have already seen that how we partition a given interval into sub n number of sub interval, non-overlapping sub interval. Same kind of situation is coming that. So whenever you are having a continuous set, that would be either an interval or union of non-overlapping interval. So that is the scenario. It would be interval. So because any interval, if you take, it always contain uncountably many elements. So that means continuum is there, continuum there in between 0 to 1. Every, if you are taking an interval 0 to 1, that means every element between 0 to 1 are there in that interval. So that's way continuous set always happens to be of this nature, either it is an interval or union of interval. So and hence corresponding random variable, we will call it continuous random variable. That is the definition. Now anyone may give answer why here omega would be always a continuous set. Just in order to answer that, just recall the definition of function. Function is what? Under function is what? It is a rule under which every element of the domain has been engaged to some element in the codomain. Just apply that idea. That means, do we have any function which may be one many one function, many one map might be a function, but can a map which is what one man maybe a function or not? No. Very nice. Then same situation is coming that here if you are taking your domain in the case of continuous random variable, that one is of lesser size. That means lesser size in sense that it is discrete in session, discrete in nature. Then it would be very difficult to define a many one or one kind of map from omega to R. Definitely. So it is not possible to define. So by default, this omega must be a continuous set. If it is continuous set, then we can define many one or one correspondence. If omega equal to R, we can define one correspondence, and also we can define many one. There is no issue. But if you take a discrete set, then it will be very difficult. There is no such kind of criteria through which you can define a map that that would be of one or many one kind of nature. This one is discrete, so it would be very difficult to define. That would be very difficult to define. So that's why this omega must be continuous in this fashion. Okay. So I'm taking one example here. So example, this one is if you measure exact velocity of a vehicle, then this one is a continuous random variable. You can observe that if someone is driving a vehicle, then velocity of vehicle, it is continuously varying from the interval. It is not like that velocity. Sometimes it is a 40 kilometer per hour or 50 kilometer per hour, something. No, it is not taking exact value. Definitely, if you see the speedometer measure the velocity through ticking or some kind of that do measuring through discrete approach. So that reading happens to be discrete. But again, I told that liberty that here what is that why discrete nature is there, because here we do sampling. Here it is one kind of sampling of the continuous phenomena in discrete fashion. That's why the reading of a speedometer is discrete. But in exact the velocity of a vehicle, it always taking value continuum in continuum fashion. Like someone is willing to measure the height, it can't be a discrete structure, discrete number. Height of people, like you're taking population from certain area, that definitely height would fall in the interval. It won't take only discrete value like that. That is the situation, that it always take value from some interval some interval or union of interval. Okay, so that's where that height concept is also coming falls in this continuous pattern, like velocity of a vehicle in actual sense. Like other signals also you can put in the similar fashion. So if you take any concept about, now I will talk about uh, for discrete random variable. We had already seen that if you are having a discrete random variable, suppose this one is a discrete random variable, then uh, in order to characterize discrete random variable, we had probability mass function PMF, that that notation was a small p suffix x of x. Then we had expectation, that we define it by summation. So we had already seen that all these things. So now we are having continuous random variable. So if you take any concept from the discrete random variable, then just replace wherever you see sum in that concept of discrete random variable, like expectation, replace with integral. And if you see probability mass function in the discrete random variable, and if you want to generalize it to continuous random variable, then replace the probability mass function by probability density function. Then we get the corresponding concept for continuous random variable. Just you are replacing. So it is one kind of generalization. You are generalizing. So in case of if x is continuous random variable, then what will happen? Your probability mass function would be generalized to probability density function. Density concept would come, mass concept will be no more alive here in case of uh, continuous random variable, because I will say that that will nullify to zero. And here when you define expectation, it will involve integration. So we will see all these. Only that generalization is coming. Further, if you talk about conditioning and other kind of thing, and joint probability mass function and other things, similar pattern will come. Joint probability mass function will be replaced by joint probability density function, and conditioning and marginal, all those things will have a similar role, but only change would be that sum will replace by integral, and probability mass function would be replaced by probability density function. That would be the change. So first, I would like to discuss about probability density function. Why? Because the probability law, in case of continuous random variable, we will define in term of probability density function. So it is very much essential to define probability density function. What is this? So it is definitely, it is a function. So a continuous random variable, what is happening? It is observing value from an interval or union of interval. It is not taking value in discrete fashion. It is taking value in continuum fashion. That means it is that random variable, continuous random variable is observing value from an interval or union of interval. So we have to talk about probability density of the observed value. How much observed value are dense there, how much density is there, that rather than we will talk about point mass approach, and that means point mass is having probability mass. So we want to go for point mass approach. So individual look, we don't have to give those observed value, we have to look in together and how much density is there. So that is the pattern is coming. Okay, so mathematically this statement, how we can justify? We can justify it by a probability density function for a continuous random variable. We can define by defining a probability density function. How we can define like this way. So we are defining, we know that if you are taking suppose x is observing value from the interval x to x plus delta, little bit away from, deviated from x, so by delta amount. So x, if suppose x is observing value in a continuous fashion from the interval x to x plus delta, then we divide it by uh, the length of that interval in which x is observing, and the ratio it will converge to the probability density function. It will define the density. So you can say that from the concept of mass density, how we define mass. So generally dm is what? Mass of an, what elementary element that we to used to say, mass of a element of length dx. If you are taking element, only one dimensional element, that means uh, an element that one is having only length, like linear kind of height weight or those kind of things. If I talk about if we are willing to define density concept there, then density for a small that infinitesimal a small element, then what would be how we define density? Density there happens to be ratio of the mass of small segment divided by the length of a small segment, dm by dx. Through this we are defining density. So, okay, call it d in short, fx. I would call it fx, not dv. Fx. Okay, this is the density definition for elementary mass in case of linear body. Okay, this is the definition. Similar concept is coming here. Mass has been replaced by a mass with some probability. So probability that measure width is sorry weight is given by probability. So that's way if you take a very small interval of length delta, then this would have, what is the probability of this one? Probability of this one we denote it by probability that x is observing value between x and x plus delta, and if you divide it by delta, suppose this interval is very small, infinitesimal small, that means we are taking limit delta x tends to 0. In that case this probability will be what it approximate, this limit approximate a value, that value we are calling it probability density function of x at point of random variable x at point x, small x. Okay, in short also we can say that so what we do, so this approximation we can tell like Taylor's theorem, and Taylor theorem you might have already seen that this approximation from here we can say that that probability that x is observing value between x and x plus delta, it can be given by uh, approximately the product of density function at x in times width of the interval. So through that, so we can say from here that probability density function, it is talking about actually probability per unit length for univariate variable x, univariate. If it is bivariate, then area will come. If it is trivariate, then what, volume will come. So for univariate variable x here simply we can say that probability density function measure probability per unit area. So that is the rate kind of approach, rate of the probability you can say that, or gradient approach you can say that, gradient of the probability you can say that from that perspective. So that is the meaning of probability density function. Now if you want to visualize geometrically, then you can visualize like this way. So you are taking a random variable which is taking value in continuum fashion. So suppose you are observing value of x between uh, x and x plus delta, and delta is very small. In that case what is happening, this area, okay, height is what, height is f of x and width is delta. So if you multiply height with delta, it is giving area. That area will talk about probability. This area will talk about this quantity probability. And if you take area, let's suppose you are having view of area, then area, if you divide area by delta, that width of that interval, then it will what, it will give corresponding density. That will talk about how much dense it is. That means density, in order to look density, you have to look here the value of x value. So there are many x here. Say along this horizontal axis there are many x. So the x here is very dense. If you talk about take interval from here, so from the this interval relatively it is not denser like here. So here the density is much more. That's why we see the plot of height of density is more here, because here more points are accumulated in together in this interval. So that's why density is high. But if you come here to see, here less dense, relative sense we are talking. So relatively here less number of points observed value of x, that's why density is low relative in comparison to this place, at this place. So that is the visualization of density. That density is talking about how much value of x are coming together, accumulated together near in a small interval. So at a single point we can't talk about accumulation of several points. So that's why we are talking about width, some width, in some width how many value of x is being observed there. So if value of x happens to be very large, that means many x are coming, and definitely density would be more. And if x are less, then simply we will say that density is relatively less. So that is the density concept is coming with probability density concept. So if you take any event, now we will talk about event more in detail. So in case of discrete random variable, we had already seen that with respect to discrete random variable, how we define event? We define event that x is observing a small value an observed value x, a small x, okay, and we are calling it event because why? We know that discrete random value always what it map back to event, some collection of outcome. So this element x equal to x, it will map back to uh, some collection of what we call it outcome in the sample space that we denoted by ax. Ax is the what? Ax in the discrete. This is the scenario for discrete random variable. Then similar feature we want to see for continuous. So how you will define? So before going to that, let me recall this definition. So we are calling ax is what? It is a collection of all outcome which has been mapped to x under the mapping random variable, discrete random variable x, which has been mapped to a small x. This is the outcome. So it is where? It is in the sample space. Similar feature, similar kind of event we will apply define here in the case of continuous random variable. So in continuous random variable, whenever we are taking the event, that means x belongs to b is the event. So again, this event would be either a interval or union of interval. It can't be a single, this b can't be a single number, single real number can't be. I will raise that why. If you are taking, suppose b is a single number, then definitely it would be meaningless to talk about, because in that case density for that event would be zero. So if density is zero, meaningless to talk. Why we will bother about zero density? So that's where that situation will come. So here we are defining probability for event b, that means x is observing value from some interval or union of interval. It is not come from the complete range of x. It is just a small b is a, but it is just a proper subset of a range of x. In that situation, what is happening? How we can define probability of b? So probability of b, we define it that we integrate the corresponding density function over that region in order to get probability of that region. So that is the simple, it is a job of integration. We need to integrate the corresponding density function over that region, and we will get the probability of that event through that. So it is one kind of integration, what we are calling it, proportional to that area or length. If it is one linear body, then length, and if it is 2D body, then area would come. So I will generalize this event category for more uh, different type of events. So first I am taking it, suppose our event is an interval, a single interval, that means interval which is taking value between real number a and b, and a is less than b, that we know, that concept we know. So in order to find the probability of b, so what we do, just we have to integrate the corresponding density function over the interval a to b. Just do this integration. So it demands always an explicit form of density. Definitely explicit form would be given, or you can derive it. Given the situation, you can derive it. So this is the way to calculate. If your event is like this way interval, you can easily calculate probability for that event. It would be equal to integral of f of x over the interval ab. Okay, now suppose you take another case. So if you graphically, you can visualize. So this is the sample space, and suppose you are taking event that x is taking number between a to b, then it will map back to sample space. You can easily see that this is the out collection of outcome which has been mapped to interval ab. And what is happening, if you talk about probability, then what is the probability? This area, measure this area. So it depends upon your approach, how you're measuring this area. This area, measure of this area will give probability that x is between a and b. That probability of b, it would be given by probability. This one is geometrical visualization of the same thing. Okay, now we are taking another case. Suppose our event b is complete r. In that case, what would happen? That means the range of the range of x is r. In that case, event we are taking complete r. Okay, so in that case, how we can calculate probability of B. So R is means what is R is also an interval of infinite length. That means end point of left end point of R is what, minus infinity, and right end point of R is plus infinity. If you try to express a real number in the form of interval, then you can express like this way. This is the situation. That's way, in order to calculate probability of the event B equal to R, that means we have to integrate the density function from minus infinity to infinity. What does it do? That means you are integrating density function throughout over. And what is meaning of this? This is talking about probability. That means density time dx. It is talking about probability of length x is taking value from the width dx. Okay, so it is probability and you are taking total probability, and from the discrete law of discrete and variable, the what does probability mass function satisfy? If you are taking for all value of x, so here we are taking for all value of x, has been exhausted, so that one is satisfying normalizing condition. And hence this one is also, if you integrate this product of f with dx, that means probability, and you are doing that integration over all x, so it will what, it will sum up to 1. That means maximum probability would be equal to 1. So that criteria normalizing, simply we are calling it, this one is normalizing condition of probability density function. So one property we got it through, this is the one property of density function. Second property is normalizing property, and third property is what, call it second property. This one is second property, and this one is third property. And first property, by default you can say that density has been defined with the help of what we call it, with the help of probability, and probability is never zero. Probability is always greater than equal to 0. So we can say that density is also always greater than equal to 0. So that is the, from the definition of PDF, probability density function, a density is always greater than equal to 0. But we are not putting upper bound of this density. It may be greater than 0. Density is not a probability. It is probability per unit area or per unit length, but it is not probability per unit. There is per unit or per length is mentioned there. So this quantity we can't limit it up to 1. It may go beyond 1. The density may take value beyond 1, but it would be always greater than equal to 0. So there are three property for probability density function. One is this one is this one is this one. So whenever, if we are taking a random variable, continuous random variable, always I will ask what is the density of that one. Density means that density have to satisfy all these three properties. If you're taking any function and claiming that that is a density of corresponding random variable, continuous random variable, and that density is not satisfying any one of these property, then simply we can say that that function is not a density function. So it must satisfy these three properties, 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm taking one more example. Suppose B is a singleton set containing only one element. That means that the situation matches with probability mass function. Okay, so in that case what will happen? That means if you are willing to calculate probability of B, so that means you have to integrate density function from A to A. There is only one point, so terminal point, both terminal point would be the same, end point and starting point both would be the same, because there is only one point. So it is talking about a single point. In case of single point, terminal point and what, a starting and ending point both would be same. So that's why when lower limit upper limit both are same. And what is the value of this integral? If you integrate a function over the same value as upper limit and lower limit, then value would be 0. It would be equal to 0. So that's way, if we, in case of continuous random variable, if you are taking event as a single shape, that means if you take x equal to a only, then the corresponding density of that would be 0. Density of a single point is 0. But if you take density value x from an interval, whether that interval is small or bigger, it is not there is no worry. In that case we can always define density that would have a positive density. But if your interval is of length 0, then corresponding probability would be also 0, and hence density would be also 0. So that is the situation. So all these are property of probability density function. I will take one example. After that uh, I will talk about other things. So one example I am taking like this way, that wheel of fortune game. So a gambler spins a wheel of fortune continuously. That one is calibrated between 0 1. That means we are noting down those values. Gambler is playing and we are noting that that value falls in the interval 0 to 1. Okay, it is not going beyond 0 or 1. Okay, behind 0 or beyond 1, it is not going. So uh, uh, that is the here game that gambler spin a wheel of fortune continuously calibrated between 0 and 1 and observe the resulting number. Okay, so assuming that all subintervals of, so various subinterval 0 1 would have, so if you take all subinterval of length same, if you are taking subinterval of length same, then uh, they are equally likely. That means they will have the same probability density. They will have the same probability density. This experiment can be modeled in terms of random variable with the following density function. So equally likely situation in case of discrete random variable, what was the criteria? That means each point, there is a point wise segregation. Okay, in the case of discrete random variable, that observed value happens to be point wise, easily we can put in a single sequence. So there each point is having a certain probability that in case of discrete random variable. So equally likely situation is saying that each point is having same probability, that if suppose n number of points are there for discrete random variable, then 1 by n would be probability. Okay, but if you are coming with respect to continuous random variable, then single point concept is not defined here. So we have to talk about subinterval wise or interval or subinterval wise. So that's why if you're taking a subinterval of length same, any two subinterval of length same, then both would have the same density function. Why? Same situation is coming, that what we are calling it. So I told that if you multiply density function with delta, it is giving probability that x is taking value from the interval of length delta due to this. And we say that uh, delta, so if you take delta 1 and delta 2, like same situation, and delta 1 and delta 2 are same, of same length, then probability would be same. Represent it for this, call it x, and this call it x bar. That there is one interval of length delta where variable we denoted by x. Here this point is x and this point is x plus delta, and another interval take x bar and x bar plus delta. This one is another interval. So both here, both interval are having the that width same delta. So in that case we will say that both are equally likely. If delta both are having the same width, then it is equally likely situation, and they are having equal probability as well, also you can say that. Okay, and the density uh, in that equal process, they are having equal density as well. So we are defining that this problem like this way. So gambler is playing this game wheel of fortune, and if that value, that whatever value in the spin that gambler is getting, that has been calibrated between 0 and 1. And suppose that value is taking a equally likely situation is there. See, each subinterval is having equally likely situation. That means each subinterval is taking a constant value, same value, same value. Each subinterval of length same is taking same value in the interval 0 to 1. Okay, and if you are taking any value of x outside, it is meaningless to talk about. We don't know about that. So what would be value of c? Anyone would like to say what would be value of c? So apply third property, normalizing property of density function. What does it say? It say that if you integrate it, if it, suppose you are claiming that this function is a density function, then you have to integrate this one over the all real observed value of x. So observed value of x are what? It falls between 0 to 1. We don't have other than 0 to 1. Okay, x always observed value between 0 to 1. Outside 0 to 1 we don't know that density is 0. So that's why integration, this integration would be what? Equal to 1. due to normalizing condition. So if you integrate, what is value of fx in this interval 0 to 1? That one is c. So c will come out from the integral, and just we need to integrate dx, that integration element gf from 0 to 1. And what is the integration of dx? Equal to, if you integrate it, what is that? That one is equal to 1. So from here you can simplify that the value of coefficient, normalizing coefficient, it would be equal to 1. So density of this is what? So you can remove it. So for this problem the density is 1. This is the density function. So you can plot like this way. If you can generalize it to, even between 0 to 1, you can generalize it to take, suppose x is observing value between a to b. In this case density would be 1 by b minus a. In this case a is equal to 0 and b equal to 1, so 1 by 1 minus 0, that one is 1. Density is 1. So that is the scenario. I think other things we will cover in next class. It is already over 45 minutes. If you are having any question, you can ask.